This meeting of the Land Use and Transportation Committee to order. All members are here other than Member Bell. Hopefully she'll show up. Um, and so I don't know, we can dispense with the roll call if you like. So first item would be the approval of the minutes of the March 1st, 2022 regular meeting. Motion by Member Wachinski, second by Member Klein. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is a recommend payment of the bills and appropriation transfer request forms. Since we are two committees now combined to one, we have bills for land use and transportation. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, you want to make a motion? Member Rogel, second. Member Friedrich. Again, any questions on any of those bills? Jerry, do you have any comments? Okay. All right. If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Okay, any appearances by members of the public?
Chairman, we do not.
All right, great. I'd like to start off actually with making a couple introductions. We have with us today Mr. Tony Grant. He's our new assistant county administrator. I hope everyone takes an opportunity to meet him and get to know him. And I'm sure hopefully he knows the job that he has ahead of him. And he's got broad shoulders, so I'm sure he can handle it. I also want to introduce Ashley Scarborough. I think you all maybe have met her before, have seen her, but I just haven't done a formal introduction before. She's the Assistant Civil States Attorney for the county administration here. So again, welcome, and I know you're going to have a busy job also, Mr. Spanos, we all know. Okay, first item is number 5A, Mr. Dick, under Building and Zoning. No items for action. Looks like no items for presentation. I'm sure Administrator Taylor can answer any questions if we have any. Does anyone have any questions about land use? All right. Seeing none, then we'll move on with 5B. Jerry Stokes, first item 5B1A, request approval of a resolution for the March 23rd, 2022 maintenance and construction letting. And I would entertain a motion for that. Member Klein, second Member Thompson. All right, Jerry, you can lead us on that.
So this is our yearly oil and chip letting that we do for the county work and the townships. And so it was with the oil prices increasing, it was an 18% increase on the oil over what it was a year ago. And then, so we also did the estimates of costs for the townships back in January and February. And then we had a wind farm letting on February 10th. And so the prices went up another like 10% on top just from February 10th to March 23rd, with the what's going on overseas and everything. So so it ended up probably costing the townships anywhere from like 1 to 5% more than what was originally anticipated. And most of them still had a balance left over, or still had some balance in their MFT account that would be able to make up for that difference. And then there was the last project on here was a McLean County project on the Shinoa Road, which is part of the Blooming Grove Wind Farm from last year, and that's going to be a full depth recycle project where we're going to do a little widening and then pulverize the road and then add some emulsion to it on that. And so Dunn Company out of Decatur had received that work, and they did the Lexington East Road project for us last year, and it turned out fairly well. So,
all right. Anyone have any questions? Member Thompson?
Where's Lexington East Road? Where's that at?
It runs straight from Lexington over to the Colfax Weston Road.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is B1B, request approval of a resolution to establish a no parking zone on County Highway 67, which is Ford Street and Gridley Road. I would entertain a motion. Member Wachinski, second. Member Thompson. All right, Jerry, you can lead us on that.
So the Village of Gridley reached out to us about issues with vehicles parking on the next to the cemetery along our county highway there. We just resurfaced the county highway back 2 years ago, and so this is a picture kind of from the right at the edge, the north edge of the cemetery. And so right in this area here is, for whatever reason, the cars are parking here, and this is only about 6 foot wide. And so you can see it's in a no passing zone. So going over this hill, and there's plenty of room to park in the cemetery, but they're parking here and accessing the cemetery that way. So the Village of Gridley requested that we put no parking zone here along the whole cemetery property, which runs about 1,300 feet basically from the county line on the north end, 1,300 foot to the south. So, and we agree, and especially if there's, since it isn't a no passing zone, it just makes it harder for the vehicles to go around and the oncoming traffic. And then here's just kind of another one that's right in the middle of the cemetery, looking south again. So, we recommend putting up these no parking signs.
Any questions? Member Klein?
No, ma'am, sorry. Who's gonna pay for these parking signs? No parking signs, is it us? And the second question is, who's gonna enforce it? Is that county patrol or is that the village?
So the village is going to pay for the posts and the signs. We'll install them for them, but they're going to pay for the signs, and then the Village of Gridley will be able to reinforce it, or the county can enforce it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Member Bell?
Why was that asphalt poured in the first place? And is there any it's a cemetery, so is there any roads going into the cemetery? Are they parking there because it's an overflow at funeral time, or it had to be poured for a reason?
Yeah, so so you can kind of see there's curb that runs along here, and basically just to help with the slope coming off the off the cemetery right there, so we didn't have to encroach, since it's kind of going through a hill, so we didn't have to encroach to put a ditch in there or anything like that. So they just, and the curb has been there since they resurfaced it the last time, 25 years ago. And so we just milled it out and put it back the exact same way it was already. And so there is plenty of parking and in the cemetery, and I don't think there's that's a quarter mile long. I could probably pull up an aerial here. I always change it. Yeah, I didn't know if it showed the roads very well. So you can kind of see the roads there. So I think so this is all road all the way along here. This is access out to our road, and then there's another access out to the county road. So I mean, this is all road and parking. So I don't think there's an issue with any funerals, and they shouldn't need to be parking out there.
So has there been any accidents in that area or farm equipment moving from one area to the next? and we're just doing this to cover our butts because we want to put up another no parking sign.
Well, we want to, we want to be proactive and not have any accidents, especially in a no passing zone like this, where if a farm implement would need to get around a parked car, then, then we would be covered because they shouldn't be parking there, or they need to receive a citation.
Okay, I just don't understand. It's a rural area. Who's going to enforce it? You have enough signs as it is.
The village of Gridley will, I think they would be able to enforce it, or if the sheriff, if there's a complaint, the sheriff's office can run out there and enforce it as well.
Okay, thank you.
I wonder if there's any way, I don't know whose responsibility this would be to contact, the funeral homes maybe, and ask them to remind people sometime if it gets to be a problem and it's not fixed by the signs, if a funeral home could say, you're not allowed to park there. And I can understand it's a long, narrow cemetery, so, if there's a burial on the far north end and the line goes down to the south and you got a long way to walk, somebody might decide, I'll just whip along the side here.
Sure.
But if they know it's a no parking, hopefully that'll alleviate it.
Yeah, I don't think the issue is when there's funerals going on. I think it's just when somebody wants to go out and visit the gravesite.
I'm with you. Okay.
So it's just random when they're parking there.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is B1C. Request approval of a resolution requesting consent to the reappointment of the incumbent as the county engineer. I would entertain a motion for this. Member Klein, second member Wachinski. I guess, Jerry, is this you or is this the administrator that deals with this?
I could maybe try to explain it a little bit. So, yeah, there's so IDOT's got a lot of rules when it comes to appointing the county engineer. So, so my term's up in August, and so they need consent from the county board to for me to be reappointed. And then once they get that consent, then another resolution will come forward to reappoint me for another 6-year term. So I guess if you don't want to reappoint the incumbent, then it's going to have to be advertised, and there'll have to be another list sent down to IDOT, and then IDOT will have to approve those candidates and probably go through the whole process.
So does this also coincide with your contract?
No.
No, it doesn't. So I
No.
mean, so it's a little odd to me, but again,
It is, yes.
IDOT, so.
Right. They, so it's, because I asked if I could do the resolutions at the same time, and they said, no, this one had to be done first, get consent from the department, and then bring the next one, the resolution to reappoint through in a future meeting. And so the term's up in August, and you can do it 100 days. The way the statute reads is you can do it 100 days before the term expires.
And this is an annual thing. We do this every year.
We don't do this. This is done every 6 years.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So, yes.
Ms. Taylor, you have anything to add?
I recommend we approve this.
All right. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote then. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, I guess. All right, next item is 5BD. Request approval of an engineering service agreement with Hampton, Lazini, and Renwick for the Segmiller 2 Bridge, Yates Road District, Section 22-31138-00-BR. I would entertain a motion. Member Wachinski, second. Member Friedrich. All right, Jerry.
So this is a bridge that kind of been on our radar, and the township's been wanting to do for quite a while. I got some pictures here to kind of show. So it's a one-span bridge, and I meant to look up the year that it was built. I want to say it was built in the 50s, and so the concrete's starting to deteriorate on top of the deck. You can kind of see where it's been patched a bunch. And then you can kind of see here where I think they dug it down and poured concrete behind here to keep it from settling. And the main issue is these are what we call timber abutments. And so the wood's starting to rot away, and so then it's starting to undermine, and then they got to go back, and that's where the settlement comes there in the first part of the bridge. So so we went up there and looked at it, and so we would recommend replacing this bridge. And so we're looking just this. So this agreement was with HLR, and it will start the engineering for it, and we're probably looking at more like a 24 construction. It'll probably take a year to design, clear all the environmental and everything. So we'll probably thinking about a 24 construction job on this. So the township is wanting to use their Rebuild Illinois funds that they received on this project, and then we'll use county bridge funds as well. We did look at we have on certain these types of bridges. Sometimes you're able to go in there and repair it with sheet pile, like take all this timber pile out and put sheet piling in there. We did this probably about 3 or 4 years ago up in Lawndale. But that's so expensive. It's probably would cost about $250,000, and we're thinking that we can replace this whole structure for around $350 to $400. So the road commissioner, that's kind of the route he wanted to go. So that's what we decided to do as well.
So, just my question, are they gonna try and widen that bridge also when they redo it?
Probably a little bit to help with the farm implements. I don't know exactly how much. I mean, it's pretty wide now, so we probably won't go too much wider than the road. It might be a foot or two. We're actually maybe looking at putting like a big box culvert in there, or a double box culvert instead of an actual span bridge. So that might be something we can do as well.
Okay. Any questions?
Or another option we're actually looking at is what they call a steel tub girder bridge, where they're made out of like galvanized steel. It's kind of a new item on the market. There's a couple other counties around that have done them, and when you got short spans like this, it works out good. And then so basically that ends up being just kind of the base of the beams, and then we would pour a concrete deck over the top of that. So just kind of a different technology we're thinking about looking at, if probably whatever's going to be more cost prohibitive.
All right. Any questions? Member Klein?
How many more of these wooden bridges are left in the county? I know you've been working at replacing them. Are there a lot more of them like this?
Sure. So in years past, the big problem that we used to have was, which was a real concern, was what they call timber piles. So where these concrete piles are at, they were actually made out of timber, and when they were in the water, they would start to rot out. So luckily, we've replaced all those. So those aren't a concern. So I don't know exactly how many timber pile abutment bridges are like this. I think there's like 4 or 5 just in Yates Township alone. So they're not all. I mean, they're starting to deteriorate, but they're not. They're all actually. Some of them are in good shape, but some of them they have holes and they've been repaired over the years and that type of thing. So there is quite a few around the county. It'd probably be a concern that we're going to have to fight over the next 10 to 20 years.
But that, in that case, that's a township bridge.
Correct.
So countywide, we don't have, I mean, on county roads, there's not very many left, I don't believe.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any timber pile abutments on the county roads system. I don't think.
Okay.
So,
All right.
The reason I asked is there are quite a number of special grants that are being issued by the federal government right now related to transportation. It's a concise project, right? Replacing the wood pile bridges. So it might be something to consider about applying for special funding to help. I don't know, just a thought, because
Sure.
we keep getting these emails about different awards that are available for transportation and infrastructure. And
Right.
this is an infrastructure heavy time, so it might be a possibility to, consolidate all of those projects into one and maybe write a grant for it. I don't know, just an idea, because you've got nothing else to do.
Any other questions? Member Bell?
Well, here I go again. farming season's coming up. So how long will this take? And will the people be able to get to their land? Because this bridge is an important bridge for that, is it Gridley?
This is in Yates Township, which is just about 2 miles southeast of Shinoa.
Okay,
So, I mean, it's an important bridge, but the traffic isn't necessarily as high as what we have on some of the other roads. I mean, there's probably only like 100 cars a day that go on this route. So this would probably take about 3 months to construct, and they would definitely be able to get around one way or the other. They might have to go around the whole mile to access to get to their property, but they will be able to get to their property when the time comes.
And we're talking about a couple years in the future also.
Yeah, we're looking at a 24 construction. The Rebuild Illinois funds have to be obligated by 2025. So we're thinking just with the way our workload is looking at on our bridge side for the next couple of years, it's probably going to be 2024.
Looking at the map, it looks like it's a mile south of Route 24. So, I mean, any regular traffic could go that mile north. If it's farm equipment, they may not want to go up on Route 24, but they could go south a mile.
Right.
Again, there's another bridge there on the north-south road they may have to pass, but, and again, hopefully maybe if it can be timed right, can be in between seasons.
Sure. Yeah, and exactly. Looking at that map, then there's like if you go south and over, there's on 2900 north, there is another bridge. It's the exact same type of bridge as this that would probably need to be done in the future. And we looked at both of them, but this one is the worst of the two.
Okay. Any questions? All right, ready to vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, 5BE, another bridge. Request approval of an engineering service agreement with Cummings Engineering for the Miners 2 Bridge, Anchor Road District, Section 21-02-124-00BR. Motion by Wachinski, second by Klein. All right, Jerry?
So this is a bridge that we're gonna construct here in 2022, and we're gonna put this out for a letting here in May. So we'll probably bring it back to the committee in June for approval. This is a double box culvert that is out south of Anchor, and so we lost a staff member about 2 months ago, and so in order to get this project completed, we're going to need some assistance on doing some construction engineering. Just with all the other projects we have going on, we just don't have enough staff to cover it. So I decided to hire Cummins Engineering. They're the ones that did the design work on the project, and so they'll go out there and they'll be the inspectors on site, and we'll be out there, as needed if a problem occurs, and so this will be paid. So the reason I did this is so the township bridge funds will be able to pay 80% of this engineering fee of $51,600, and so then the county will be responsible for 10%, and the township will be responsible for the remaining 10%. So, we had some money left over in the township bridge fund, so thought this would be a good avenue to go to get this project completed here in 2022.
And this is a township bridge, although it looks like it's right by the intersection of our county highway.
Right, yeah, it's about 300 foot to the west of our county highway.
Okay. Questions? Pardon me? Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No questions, are ready to vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, 5BF. Request approval of a supplemental resolution in anticipation of township bridge funds. Motion member Wachinski, second member Thompson. All right, Jerry?
So in order to spend the money that was just approved for the engineering firm, we have to do an anticipation resolution because we receive the township bridge funds usually in like August or September. And so so the project will be going on at that time. So we may need to pay the engineering firm for their services, and as well as part of the construction of the project. So our balance, like right now in the TVP fund's 155,000, and we're expecting to get roughly around 320,000 in the fall. And so then, so in order to spend that money on the construction or the engineering, we have to like anticipate we're going to receive that money ahead of time, and then once we get that money, then it reimburses our county bridge fund.
Any questions? This is kind of a little side note. All these bridges that we're talking about working on, at this point, they're not in the region of any proposed wind farms or anything.
No, the Yates Bridge was in a wind farm, was kind of in Blooming Grove that they did the year before, 2 years before, but I don't believe they use this road as part of their the wind farm work.
Because again, that could cause a problem if we're building a bridge and they're trying to do a wind farm at the
Right.
same time. So
Yes.
I'm glad somebody's thinking of that. So, okay. Any other questions? Do we get a motion for that? Yeah, member Wachinski, second, member Thompson. Yep. All right, ready to vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, 5BG, request approval of a bridge construction petition for a joint culvert replacement number 1, Allen Road District. All right, member Wachinski, second, member Klein. Jerry?
So this is a project that the Allen Township Road Commissioner was wanting to do. So as you can see there, the existing culverts, there's 3 existing culverts, and a 21-inch, a 30-inch, and a 22-inch round. And water still goes over the road here, and so it's a drainage nightmare. And so we're proposing to put in quad 42-inch pipes, as well as raising the road to get enough cover over the pipe and allow the water to stay in the pipes instead of getting out on the road. So it's a big project. We'll do the work for the township, and hopefully with something we'll get the culverts ordered and try to get it done this summer yet.
So I see this is in somewhat close proximity to Olympia School, although there's several other roads around. And if you said you're gonna try and get it done in the summer, shouldn't be a big issue with the school, I wouldn't suspect.
I wouldn't think so. I think there's too many residents on that route. So like you said, they could go around if needed. The other problem is these culverts, if I remember, are spaced like 30 to 50 foot apart from each other. So we're going to kind of condense it all down into one spot where it's going from underneath the road.
All right. Any questions? It just kind of dawned on me. Is this part of a drainage district?
I don't believe out here there.
Okay, I didn't know whether, I don't know why I haven't thought of this sooner, but whether when you do work on a drainage district waterway, if it's a concern that you need to express with them, or we just pretty much do what we do.
Usually we reach out to the drainage districts, and a lot of times they're bringing problems to us or vice versa. But because I don't know if we've ever done it, but I think that they could even like pay a portion
Right.
of that project.
Okay, all right. Any questions? All right, ready to vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we are ready for 5BH. Request approval of a letter of intent with the Illinois Department of Transportation. Someone want to make a motion? Member Friedrich, second, member Thompson. All right, Jerry?
So this has to do with the approaches going to the overpass at Carlock, and so I have some pictures here. So this is kind of right at the edge of where our road ends, and this is, so there's been, I guess, some confusion on whose jurisdiction of this stretch of road here actually is. We have never maintained it. We don't maintain it at all. We don't do anything with it. So last year, this is our resurfacing project that we started and went into Carlock. And so you can kind of see the condition of the road here is not in very good shape. And I think IDOT's received a lot of complaints. We've received a lot of complaints about this road. And when we tell them that it's under the jurisdiction of IDOT, well, IDOT disagrees because the way that their agreements for these types of things are set up is that the county takes care of the road going up to the abutment of the structure that IDOT says they own that goes over the interstate. And so we have agreements for like all the overpasses on Interstate 55, which is Shirley, Towanda, and Lexington. There's agreements in there that specifically state that we have it to the abutments. And so IDOT's saying that we don't have any agreements for this particular road on 74 or 39. And so there's two locations. There's here at Carlock, and then there's another one at Downs. And so what IDOT basically wants to do is they're going to pay the money to design this and pay for the construction and do all the work to resurface it. And then they want to come back with a jurisdictional transfer or an agreement that makes sure that it's going to be the county's maintenance responsibility in the future. And so I kind of agree with it since it's hot mix. If it was concrete or something, I'd be a little more concerned. So the one at Downs that I mentioned, that overpass, it's like a mile worth of pavement. It's actually concrete. And so if IDOT came to us and said that we were going to do that one, I would probably say no, unless it was going to be totally reconstructed on their dime. So this is like 1,200 feet. So it's not, in the future when we need to resurface it, it's not going to be, a huge deal because we'll probably be resurfacing, into Carlock at that time, and we would just add this to that project. And so so IDOT's plan. So once if we sign off on the letter of intent and send it back to IDOT, they would start moving on the design and any right of way. And so the design is going to include all the resurfacing, new guardrail, and everything that's going to be involved. We'll review the plans, make sure they're going to do it to our standards and what we would normally do on a construction project. And then they would have the project let, and then they would oversee it. And once the project's done, we would inspect it, and then it would be added as part of our system.
And again, only up to the surface of the bridge.
Yeah, so I got some more pictures here. So you can kind of see this is about where the bridge stops, and this is looking back to the east, and you can just see all the potholes and how bad a shape it is. So this is like, I think this is the approach pavement that they did when they overlaid. I think they came in and overlaid the actual bridge structure itself. So that's in decent shape. So this is on the west side of the structure, looking west, and then so yeah, and this would be where this is where our county highway kind of picks up going back in towards Danvers. Then so it'd be kind of where that car is at, and that stretch in there, which is it was like 625 feet in there. So they're looking, once they start design, they're thinking the earliest that they would be, it's going to be like an what they call FY24 project, which their fiscal year starts July 1st of 2023. So the earliest it could probably be on an IDOT letting would be a June 23, but there's a possibility it could get kicked into 24 by the time everything gets cleared and that the environmental gets cleared and they actually get the plans done.
So if we agree to do this, would probably technically we couldn't, but could we go there and patch some of those little holes, because it is bad shape right now. If we agree to this agreement, could we just go ahead this summer or whenever, go ahead and temporarily fix some of those spots?
Well, yeah, we probably could. I don't think
Again,
IDOT would have a problem.
I mean, technically, it's not ours yet,
Right.
but it's still affecting the drivers in that area.
Correct. Yes.
and I know we wouldn't be talking about a lot of money to do something like
Right.
that. I don't want to deter them from redoing it like they need to do, but I'm just saying short term.
Right, yeah, definitely. If you know, I think they're aware of the problems that's going on out there, and I don't know if they neglected maintenance or they just don't, not something that they actually
Right.
hit a lot. Since you know, this was part of this was at least on 74, that was all redone there. You know, a couple years ago, all the way from from Carlock to Goodfield. So
Right.
so you know, the interstate's fine, so they might not get over here and actually maintain these ramps and everything. And that was kind of the issue with some of the older agreements with on Interstate 55, because it talks about the ramps, and so you know, is that whether somebody was saying, well, it's the interstate ramps, and other ones were saying, well, no, it's the approaches that are going up to the ramp going up to the structure. So um, you know, I kind of look back at the history, and there's a lot of other counties where they maintain up to the abutments as it is intended to, and that's what IDOT's preference is on that. The only it gets into a little bit a different situation when if the like there at Downs is considered higher type pavement because it was constructed out of concrete. And so that'd be where, but they've overlaid it since, over in the past, since the past 10 years, at least IDOT has. And so, I probably wouldn't necessarily recommend taking that one unless it was going to be fully reconstructed. So so a little bit more history on the interchanges for 55. That's what kind of when the argument about the interchanges started. And that's when they said the rant ours it was up to the abutments of the structures, and so we had to reconstruct the one at Towanda and the one at Lexington, and those we reconstructed those with concrete at the time, and we maintain them still. So, but like the one at Downs, IDOT maintains. There's one more on I-39 at the Blake Bloomington exit, but that one's all concrete for the whole stretch. But they also have jurisdiction because it ties into 251 that parallels along the interstate. So that one's probably not going to change either, and I wouldn't recommend to change it at this point. But I think this would go a long way to accept this into the county system.
So then, if I understand right, Tazewell County, DeWitt County or Champaign County, Payette, would have the same issue as far as they're going to ask them to start maintaining those up to the abutment also?
Yeah, I believe in a lot of the other counties they already do.
Okay.
This was just kind of one that was in no man's land, I guess
Okay.
you could say.
All right.
There was no agreement, and so it was just, this is where we maintained our road, and we never went any further.
Okay. Member Friedrich?
We talked about the Service Road Township Long Lane at Downs.
Sure.
Is that a no man's land too?
I would say so, but it's also but that one's also very clear that it is IDOT's jurisdiction.
But they don't maintain it.
Nope, not as well as they should.
What do we do?
I don't know. I guess they could see about if IDOT would do something more to it, to where then the township would take it over.
Yeah. It's really frustrating.
Right.
I use that road a lot.
Same way with
And it's not about me, but
right. No, it's
nobody takes care of it.
similar to those bridge decks that we have there on the Gillum Road and Old Colonial and Rock
Yeah.
Road, and I had conversations with IDOT about that, and they just tell me that they're in their 5-year plan, but they have other bridges on the interstate system that are worse off. Is basically kind of where it's at.
The bridge going into Downs, the structure over the interstate is IDOT's, correct?
Correct.
Cause that's really fallen to pieces.
Yes. And, yeah, that's on the 5-year plan as well to do.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Which 5 years?
Well,
Well, and yeah, and I think, you know, Tawanda, a lot of those deck surfaces, especially the median, if you want to call it, that's got chunks falling off, getting in the right of way, and it's kind of ironic they're giving McLean County $4 million to work on the Gridley Road, which we want to accept, but they could also use some of that money for some of these bridge decks. So
right.
okay, any other questions?
Well, I
I'm
guess,
sorry.
if the Transportation Committee could, McLean County Transportation Committee could, reaffirm that Downs Road and the other roads are in disrepair and IDOT needs to address the situation. That would be my request.
Okay.
Any other comments? All right, we have a motion and a second, ready to vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we are ready for, looks like 5B2, project summaries. None. You got anything you want to talk about anyhow?
Yeah, I'm just kind of, I didn't put any summaries on here because they're just getting started. So the Brand 2 bridge that is on the Stringtown Road, just a couple miles east of Stanford. We just closed the road down yesterday, and so Stark's going to get moving in there today to start tearing that bridge down and getting that one to get work on that one. That's going to be I think the completion date on that is like September 5th, so done before harvest, but it's going to take them all, 4 or 5 months to do. But by the time we get this, they got the steel order, but they said it's going to be probably in June before it gets here. So that's kind of a problem, but there's plenty of work to do, so that'll be a good project because that bridge is definitely needing some repair to it. And then the Meadows Road project that you just mentioned, that they started that yesterday as well. So they're kind of getting hit by the rain a little bit on that, trying to start the dirt work. They started removing some of the pavement up there from 24 South, and so as soon as the weather breaks, I imagine they'll be full bore on that project. And then White Oak Road was on the IDOT letting back in March, and road construction was the low bidder on that, and we're having a pre-con for that project on April 21st, and so I imagine the first part of May they'll get started on that one as well, and that's kind of runs from Locust Street here downtown all the way out to the Danvers Uten elevator.
I would suspect that Wind Farm Sapphire Sky will probably get started here in the near future, so
yeah.
I suspect you'll probably be getting some conversations with the residents or the road commissioner out there or whatever.
Sure, yeah, thanks for bringing that one up. Yeah, so the Sapphire Sky has started. They the Bennett has moved in. They started pulverizing some roads. They've graveled some of the roads out there, ran in some soft spots, so they've been repairing those. So I think, yeah, we've had a couple weekly meetings already addressing some concerns. I believe they've been talking to the road commissioners on a daily basis and everything. I haven't heard anything from the residents, so everything's moving along there.
Okay. Member Thompson?
A couple questions. First, down to Sapphire, the one down by, down there. They put signs like the section from 136 north. They put signs like every 200 feet. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, they're on the Sabina Road?
Yes.
Yes. We just ran out of time to get dirt put there to hold the gravel in, and so it's because they did that like October last year, maybe even finished in November, and we couldn't. It started raining, we couldn't get any dry dirt to put in there, so we just to protect the drop off, we just put those
I
signs.
see.
So we're gonna take those signs out and put dirt there to hold those slopes in.
I just noticed that. I'm like, holy cow, that's a lot of signs.
Yeah.
So, second question, there was a couple of I don't know what the proper term was, the two wind projects from the couple of different road commissioners up in Lexington and Shinoa.
Yeah.
Or not Lexington, but wherever are those, has that all been resolved or? And I just haven't
You
heard.
talking about some of the fines and stuff from the previous? Yes, I believe the fines have been there's been a resolution there, and so we do have like on Bright Stock, what that was done 3 years ago, and so the only work we got left on that is they were going to do another A1, so another oil, a seal coat, one more layer, a seal coat over all those roads, and then the Blooming Grove roads, they're going to do the first year the seal coat, and then next year there'll be one more seal coat on those roads. And then the Gridley Township, he had some other roads that like 2 miles that were gravel, and so so there was some right of way that was bought that was paid by the wind farm, and so that some of that construction will be going on to widen those roads out this year as well. So yeah, everything's we've actually received payment for well, we're receiving payments in monthly allotments, but I think all the townships receive payments for all the oil and chip work that's coming up.
Member Friedrich?
You got a staff member, engineer, vacancy. Do you look to have that filled here soon?
Yes, we've actually had it advertised for a month and did not receive any candidates. So that was the civil engineer 1 position. So basically somebody that's maybe had just fresh out of school or, like 0 to 5 years experience. And then, so we re-advertised for that one and also included a civil engineer 2, because that was actually the position that we lost, was a civil engineer 2. And so we kind of have both of them advertised at this point to see, hoping we get one or the other, I guess. And it's just a tough market. I mean, you talk to some other consulting firms, and they're having issues finding people, and I think it's just a tough. There's a lot of work, and I think it's just tough to find people for these positions.
Yeah, good luck. We've got a township road, Funks Grove. We visited about this in the past over Interstate 55 at Funks
Yes.
Grove.
Yes.
That's been closed since fall.
Yes.
Now we're into spring. And do we have an end in sight when that would be opened up?
So I talked to the field engineer from IDOT here last week, and told him our concerns, and seeing if there's anything that can be done to at least get the road open now. And basically, right now they're doing the concrete patching in that area, so it's mainly for safety, so debris doesn't fall down on the county highway. And so he was expecting it to be done by June. So. Unless they can get that area done quick enough, but they're probably working in all the different directions on that structure above there. They talked about flaggers, but that's just going to add more money that IDOT's going to have to pay, and so that's going to be tough to do as well. So, yeah, I think we're stuck with it being closed till June.
We had the head of IDOT here a month or so ago. We should have talked to them at the time. Any other comments? All right. Thank you, Jerry. Next item then is letter C. Cassie Taylor, County Administrator, do you have anything to add?
No, Chairman, I don't have anything for action or information at this meeting.
All right. Anyone else have anything to add? All right. Other business. Next meeting is Tuesday, May the 3rd at 8 a.m. Will consider this meeting closed. Thank you very much.